So what do you do when you wake up in the night and your mind suddenly thinks it's morning and starts rattling on about this, that and the other, and you'd say to yourself, shut up, go to sleep, go to sleep. I am sleepy. Oh, I am so sleepy. My eyelids close, they will not open. And they bloody do. And you think, oh, sod it, I might as well get up. But it's still dark. I don't want to disturb the hubby by getting my clothes on. What on earth shall I do? So you sit down in front of your computer and you start talking about things. Books is mainly what I've been obsessed with lately. And I've been thinking about books that I remember from long ago, books that made an impression on me for various reasons. So there were certain books in childhood that made an impression on their own merits, and there were other books that I was forced to study which made an impression probably for that reason. For English O-level, I was given to study Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. This is an iconic book. People know of it. I don't know how many people have read it, but it still has currency, and it was presented to us as an example of classic fiction, I guess, which we were given to analyse, and we made up stuff for our essays. But recently, this last year, being in lockdown, having a chance to sit around and read a bit, I reread my copy of Wuthering Heights. Oh, I just discovered that the only light that's lighting my face is the light from the screen. And when the screen goes down, my face goes down. I suppose I should try lighting a light. I just thought it's kind of atmospheric to do a nighttime recording. Anyway, yes, Wuthering Heights. I reread it and I was astonished at the lack of skill in it, really. You know, in the old days, centuries ago, not many people had the opportunity to write. And so there's probably more chance that the people who did write would have got published. Nowadays, everybody wants to be a writer. You know, there's billions of books being published, and you have to really fight to get published, unless you want to go down the self-publishing route, which is also a lot easier than it used to be. So the result is that the market is flooded with books. And if somebody tried to sell Wuthering Heights nowadays, it would not be looked at again, really. You look at Heathcliff. Okay, he's a kind of iconic baddie. He's enigmatic. He's enigmatic because I think Emily Bronte didn't really understand a lot about men, although she may have come across one or two obsessive psychopathic characters, because that's what he is. He's obsessive and psychopathic. And the odd thing is, though, his passion with Cathy and Cathy's relationship with him is never, according to the book, never consummated. They don't seem to have the urge to get into bed with each other, even though they're obsessed with each other. And when he's gone away and he comes back and finds her married and living at Linton Grange, they kind of fall into a clinch. They hug each other, and they're so passionate they can't live without each other. Oh, you're my other self, etc. But they don't have any sex. There's no sex in the story at all, which seems, in retrospect, totally unrealistic. There's it's that moment, actually. It's that episode that is really the most unbelievable, because then Heathcliff is torn away from her and he kind of storms off into the night, and Cathy is so overcome with emotion, she goes to her room and she has a kind of a brainstorm and she refuses to let anybody in. And a few weeks later, she gives birth to a child, and you think, my God, this is the first mention we have that she's pregnant. Nobody thinks that they've got to make her eat or look after her, and she just kind of is allowed to have her little tantrum, her big tantrum, shut herself away in her room, refuse to eat, although she's pregnant. And then she has a baby, and everything seems to be fine. So that is a bit hard to believe. So yeah, and then there's Little Women. These perennials are every so often dredged out again, and somebody makes them into a movie or a television series. And Little Women, I've reread it a few times over the years, and I always found it very accessible, very, you get immersed in the story and you don't want it to end. And then, oh, good, there's another one, Good Wives. And then there's Joe's Boys, and it's all very cosy and good and wholesome. But I reread that in the last year as well, and it's not as accessible to me as it used to be. There's an awful lot of pontificating. The author's voice is very evident within it. She tells us what we should think, what's a good way to behave, and there's not nearly as much presentation of the actual characters as I thought there had been. It's mostly the author talking, and nowadays I think if you tried to publish a book like that, your agent or your publisher would turn around and say, look, you've got too much moralizing, too much talking, you've got to just present the characters a bit more. So yeah, things change over time. And the reason I'm thinking so much nowadays about books is because my whole life long I've kind of dipped into the idea of becoming an author, and I've gone into it and written away and tried to produce stuff that could be published, and then I thought, oh, sod it, I'm never going to get anywhere with this, and given up. And then I've gone back to it later, and now in my old age, when I probably don't have that much long left anyway, hubby thinks I might have 10, 20 years, but whether I'll be compos mentis for all of that time is another matter. So, but anyway, if I'm ever going to publish anything, and I have actually written an entire book, I wrote it 16, 18 years ago, and then I thought, oh God, this is rubbish, and I set it aside. And then recently I dredged it up again, and I thought, well, I put a lot of work into this. It's actually a coherent story. The character is good. So I tidied up the language a bit, and I thought I'll get a few copies published on Amazon, do your own publishing, whatever they call it, and get a few people to read it and tell me what they think, and see if I could polish it up and get an agent to take an interest in it. And so that's why I'm now thinking about literature again. Although now is probably the worst time ever to try and publish a book, because as I said, there's so much around. And then you go to the charity shops and you pick up some chick lit or whatever and you flick through it, as I have done in recent years, wanting some holiday reading. And I think, how the hell did this ever get published? This is so badly written. The story doesn't hang together. So perhaps there is still room for rubbish to get published, so why not my novel? So that's what I'm thinking in the middle of the night. Oh, and then I'm thinking about my YouTube channel, which I thought I'll start a new YouTube channel talking entirely about literature. I'll read extracts from my writings. Maybe they'll see the light of day that way. And because you have to keep up your regular presence on your channel in order for it to get noticed, I'll upload twice a week. And so once a week I'm going to read from my own work. The other once a week I'm going to do book reviews. Well, I can't do book reviews because I can't speak. I am only any good at writing, where you can stop and pause and sort the words out in your head and write them down, because somehow, most of the time, I find it impossible to speak fluently because I hesitate. The words don't come. It's just, there's a barrier in my brain. It's like an interface between what's in there and what's coming out, and it has to go through the customs or something. I don't know what it is. So the result of that is that my new channel has not seen the light of day. I've been religiously publishing videos twice a week, and one or two of people I know has very kindly watched my videos. I don't know if they even watch them right the way through, but I am not building a channel presence with it. So now I'm thinking, what next? Shall I carry on or shall I not? No idea. We'll see how the mood takes me. In the end, ultimately, probably none of it ever matters because, millennia hence, maybe even not that long hence, this world is going to change radically, come to an end, and a new ice age will emerge. Nobody will care anymore about any of all this literature stuff, is my guess. So, okay, that's my little rant for tonight. See you later, if you can be bothered to tune in again. Bye.